Burner from Accu-Force Dynos and Testers. I'm here to demo our new torsion bar. It's actually our Gen 2 torsion bar tester. And I'll also give you some updates on how you would use it. It's kind of an instruction video also. One of the big improvements we did on this particular model is on this one we can do various tests. It's not locked into just one test. You can actually, by opening this box up here, you can make it go to whatever distance you want to travel, up to 8 inches, and put maximum loads. We actually preset the maximum load at 1,200 pounds. And you just describe, you got 50 preset tests, you just describe the tests. That way, this particular machine, we've got it made, the slots here make it so you can slide these bearings. We can do from a 14-inch bar to a 31-inch bar in our standard unit. We can do a 35-inch sway bar also. So it's pretty versatile, and you can do different tests. You can actually, by going to 8 inches, kind of see if you would, I call it crash testing the bar, see if we can make it go past the yield points and things like that. So you just go in here, change your position or change your distance you want to travel, put it in there, exit out, maximum load. We have data steps, 1/8, quarter, 1/2 inch. Normally we check a 1/4 inch. Like I said, description, just it's all pretty simple. Just by touching a box. I'm going to save and get out of here. The other thing on the screen now we have that we didn't have is we have a manual mode, an auto mode, and a data. So the manual mode, I don't know how much you'll use it. We actually have a manual up and down. We also have a move to park. So anytime you always want to start your test in the parked position. But if I went to manual and I wanted to just look at something, we have a deal here like this where I can run it up. I have an offset that I can zero at any point, and an offset load that I could zero or turn on or off at any point. It's got to have a load before it'll do it. So like now, there's my offset load I could zero, and I could see how much load it has if I want up a 1/4 inch or whatever. Like I said, the one thing we always want to do is move it back to park position when we start our test then. So that's the manual screen if you want to do anything with it. In auto, we have this particular test, a 5-inch, so we're going to run this bar 5 inches out here at the actuator, which is about a 20-degree swing. We're going to look at every 1/4 inch of data. Its max load is 1050. The position tells me I'm within 3 thousandths of park. I normally, on this load, to start the test, we always check the load and put it to 2 pounds. And the reason for that is 3 pounds is what actually, not 5 pounds is what actually starts the test. So once I have this, I kind of pay attention to my position. I put my load to 2 pounds. I have a file number. You have 200 files you can do. I'm going to do it in file number 1. And to change files, all you would have done was open this up. You can toggle to it or hit the number box and write the number in. I'm going to put OK. So I'm going to hit start test. First things that ask me is, have the arms been tightened? I'm going to make sure the arm things have been tightened, because that's probably been our biggest problem with people. They forget to tighten the arms and they strip them out. So yes, the arms have been tightened. Data exists in file 1. Do you want to override it? So like if I always do a bar 3 runs, I'm going to overwrite that thing all 3 runs. Or if I got a bar I don't care about or was in that file number, I just overwrite it. So on this one, I'm going to say yes, I'm going to overwrite it. So at this point, it's doing a test. It's running the arm up 5 inches. It's going to come back down. It's taking compression readings. This is what I call the compression of the bar. Right now, when it turns around and comes back, it's going to be doing the rebound readings. That's real important to your bar. It's not just about how much rate the bar has. It's also about the difference in those 2 numbers. Because that's how lively your bar is, basically. The closer those numbers are, the livelier your bar is. So it's really important to me. We've done back-to-back tests, on-track testing. It's proved big that split, as we call it, is as close as it can be. So once this thing's done testing, as you can see now, it flipped immediately to our data screen, and it showed us that this particular bar has a fairly high, if I did it 3 times, but I could scroll this down to shows all my 5 inches up. But if you look here in the middle, this bar has pretty big numbers, and it's got, like, I really pay attention to the like, believe it or not, the 1/4 inch, the 1/2 inch, the 3-inch number, and my 5-inch number, because you can't look at them all, don't get me wrong. But we want to see that this thing started out, I call it a football, starts out low, gets bigger in the middle, and gets bigger or smaller back down at the end. But the smaller that window is, the better the bar is. So this thing has numbers in 11, 15s and things. So I wouldn't probably call this a good bar. The other one, after you do a bunch of bars, the reason I look at this 3-inch, usually compression number, is you'll find a lot of bars, not all of them, doesn't mean it's bad or good, but especially if you tested the bar new, and this is at 464 now. Well, maybe this thing was 475 when it was new. It's probably an inch bar. That's about the range. You'll find it. Well, if it dropped 10 pounds and these numbers are up, that's telling you that bar's, it's not lively anymore. So like if I want to look, I'll show you. Everybody always asks me about lively bars. So I'm going to go back up here to my calibration bar. File 199. If you look here, we're 1, 3, 4. Nothing got in the teens at all. I come back down here, 3, 4, 7. Way tighter. This is even a 1050 bar. It's 551. Usually the bigger the bar, the more spread these numbers will have. This is a really good bar. It's actually an old CRD bar that was a brand new bar, but it's a really good bar. So as you see, I got a description in here. I'm gonna go back to this other file. Okay. So I could describe it right now just by hitting this and typing in what it was, whatever it was, whether it be, I would just say it was a CRD since they're not no longer a thing, and say it's a CRD and a 1-inch bar, and I would just hit that enter. I'd write it in and hit enter, which was the green button, and I'd have a description. Now, I hope everybody's paying attention. I haven't put you to sleep yet. Right now is one of the most important things if you happen to own one of these machines. So if you look in this description box, it's kind of a yellowish color. And right below it here is a Save Data button. When I touch this button, it's going to turn this box kind of a greenish color, more like the top is here. So I'm going to hit Save Data. If you noticed, it kind of turned green. Well, if I would have let this set long enough, it would have turned green. It would have stored that information on its own. But if I would have turned this off right now, we would have lost this data. It takes about 5 minutes for this thing to store its own data unless you hit that Save Data button. So that's real important. Don't just turn the machine off. Remember in this data screen to go up here and hit your Save Data button. Even if you were to, the same thing happens back when I would have, if I would put a different test parameters in and needed to save them or not save them. If I was to turn the machine right off, it would not have saved them. So it is important that you always come in here before you shut the machine off and hit Save Data and make sure this box is turned green. The other one is it asks you, and this is probably the most important thing, is has data been backed up? You don't have to do this every time. But it's probably a good idea to get in the habit of doing it. Yes, I'm not going to back it up right now. It probably takes about a minute to back it up. We've had a few of these touch screens lose their information. It doesn't lose the whole program. It just loses these files. Well, we've backed them up now, and I'll show you at the end how you can retrieve those files. So it's important for your own good to have that stuff backed up. That way you'll never lose a file. But if you don't back it up, just like your computer or anything else, you will not have that file. So I'm going to say no for now, but get in the habit of backing this file up. So if this thing ever loses memory, we can get it back real easy for you. Right now, we can hit a graph. We can graph up to 4 bars or 2 bars if we're looking at both sides. You just hit graph, and there's the graph. We can hit setup. This is showing us up travel and down travel of file 01. I could add, by going in here, add, my calibration one. Okay. And now I'm at file 199. I'm going to say I want to go up with it, and I have to turn it on as you saw. And like I go in here and do the same thing here. Okay. And I could do it as down travel. And now if I hit exit, it's showing me the difference in those bars. So I'm going to get out of here now. It's pretty simple, but a lot of these buttons you can't really screw anything up with if you just hit them. Same with the USB. I've got another video, we're going to do more. It tells about that whole problem, or process, not problem. But here's where you would just load your file. And it says there's no description. I'd put a description in. It would ask me if I want to write the USB to the flash drive down there, and you just put a flash drive in the front holder, and so I'm going to say no at this point. So the only other thing I really have to show you, like I said, it's important looking at these different numbers, your 1/4 and 1/2 inch number, 3 and 5 inch number. Pay attention to what this part does. Get a description, save your data. We always have a timestamp so you can kind of tell what you've been doing. Like I said, you get your different files up to 200 by scrolling this box, going in files. I'm going to show you, if I turn the machine on, I'm going to cheat it because we're doing this video. If I turn this machine on and we get back to this original screen, we're in a setup screen, and you would just hit setup, and this is where I would restore data from the backup like I talked about earlier. It's also where you can clear all the files at one time. It's got the clock. We have a max travel indicator in here and a max load that we can preset so you can never go by it into tests. I think you just saw me hit the emergency stop. If something's ever happening, don't be afraid to hit it. It's not like some things where you got to reset anything. It's just an on and off button basically. So it'll make everything quit happening if you use it. So like I said, when you power it up, this is the screen that'll come up. You'll just hit in the middle. That'll be the start of your tests. And this is the basics of what you do. Like I said, always hit move to park. We're already parked because we've just done a test. Positions, things like that. It's pretty simple. So I hope this gets you acquainted with the machine, a little bit what it does, get some people that have bought them, a little bit of idea what it's going to do. If someone doesn't have one, hopefully it'll give you an idea what you can look at. There's a lot of teams out there right now that have bought them recently from me and have learned a lot, and I think it's becoming a more and more valuable tool for everybody. Thanks for watching.